Welcome back to part 2 of exercise 13, team logo. And we're basically incorporating tracing an animal, trying to add a little accent color, trying to get a color scheme. This is kind of beige and dark beige kind of color, brown and beige. You could have any kind of color that you want. I don't have to have a brown buffalo, but buffaloes are usually brown. And what I'm going to do is just do some text. And this will be pretty quick. I'm just going to call it the Pennsylvania bison. And what I'll do first is make an oval. I'll just make an oval around him. Now, we're not going to keep this oval, although you could if you want. And I'll make it nice and wide because Pennsylvania is a long word. So if you did something like New Jersey, that would be shorter. So I'm going to just make an oval there. I'm not worried about even seeing the bison right now. And I'm going to take my text tool, the T here, and just hover over there until it turns red. And then just click. Now it's saving right now. Let me just wait a second. Okay, now I'll click and it says your text here, and I'll type Pennsylvania, and I have to type it in all caps. They don't have an option, at least in the free version, that lets you make it all caps in one shot. So I'll just have to hold down my shift key when I do it. So there's Pennsylvania, and there's my text. Now you could highlight this text, or you can just click on it with your arrow. It's still highlighted here, and there's different, like I said, slab serif fonts. That means they have serifs on them, but they're very square. It's very athletic, collegiate looking, and I have a whole list of them. I'm going to use one. I think I used one called Alpha Slab 1. Let me see if I could find another one. There's one called Bevan. I didn't try it, so I'll type in Bevan, see how that looks. There's Bevan, and that's what I mean by slab. And that doesn't look too bad. Let me just go up here and make it larger. Now, if it's moving off here, you could grab this thing and kind of slide it. Now, Pennsylvania is going to look weird, and sometimes the letter spacing isn't perfect, but that looks good enough for now. So I'm going to leave that as it is, because I could kind of stretch it out a little bit after I'm done, but that looks okay. If I tried to make the spacing a little tighter, oh, look at that, negative 0.3, that's super tight. Let me try negative 0.03 and see if that looks any better. And I guess that's okay. But sometimes there's some weird text things here that if you use tracking, you could kind of fix, but we don't have a lot of those options here in Gravit. Unfortunately, we just don't. So I'm just going to center this the best I can on the circle. And I'm using Bevan, and I think they just have regular. They don't have a bold. And you can see it's a very bold font. And what I'm going to do now, since I'm done with it, is I'm just going to convert to path. And then I don't need this circle anymore. So it'll be like arch text like that. And if I want to, I can just stretch this. Because it's a path, it'll let me stretch it. So I can kind of stretch it up like that. Now, I don't want to stretch it too much. It'll get a little distorted. And I'll just kind of arch him over the buffalo there like that. Now, the buffalo doesn't have to be that big. He's grouped right now. I can make him a little bit smaller. But I'm just kind of following his back there. That actually doesn't look too bad. And what I'm going to do is just make kind of like a 3-color logo here. Now, I have these beigey colors I can work with. I can have beige in the middle and white on the outside. Let me try that first, because sometimes I do 3 of them with a little white on the inside. And actually, I like the dark color, so I'm going to fill it with that dark color. So I'm going to use my eyedropper and select from there. So I'm going to select that. And then what I'm going to do, I'll select the text again. I'm going to add a border. And if I added white, I wouldn't see it. So I'm not going to add white yet. What I'm going to do is, they have one that's black here. I'm going to make this the beigey color. So I'm going to go in here and on the eyedropper in here and make the beigey color. And just kind of go here on this and make it really big. Now, you can see it's coming in. So it's going in on the text. I want to click on the options here, the advanced border options, and click it so it goes on the outside. So it does something like that. And actually, that 7 point, that looks okay. It's not bad. Now, to give it a little pop, what makes a nice pop, I'll zoom in here so you see it a little better. What makes a nice pop is putting a little white on there. So that makes more contrast. The white on the brown will look nice. So I'm going to add another border. So I'll hit plus down here, and it's showing it black right now, and I'll just make it thicker. Now I could see where it is, except I want it white. So I'm going to click on here and make it white, and I'm going to go up here to the advanced options again and make sure it's on the outside. So that's kind of what I want, and that looks okay. Maybe just 2 might be better. And I'll click off it, and that looks pretty good. I don't think that looks too bad. I could put a drop shadow on this if I want. Put a little drop shadow on there would be cool. But right now, that's pretty good. That's all I want. And what I could do next is I'm going to put bison down here. So I'm just going to take my text tool, and I'm going to click. And it says your text here, and I'm just going to put bison in all caps. And I'll select it. Select next to it when you first do it. And Now remember, if you try to scale it, it's going to scale the box. So undo that. I'll do Command Z or Control Z to undo. And I'll just make the point size a lot bigger here. And I'll make it nice and big. And that looks pretty cool. Except now if I want that same style, you might be thinking, oh, do I have to do all that stuff all over again? No, you don't. Here's the cool thing is you can highlight the text here and do Command C or Control C, just copy it, and then click on here, this thing. Now you could make this an outline if you want, because right now it's just text. I think it'll work if you just keep it text. And then you can do Edit, Paste, and remember Paste Style. Look at that. It pasted the same style on top of it. And that looks pretty good. And I think I'm done. I'm going to call myself done on this. Now you could put extra outlines on this. You can select the outline of the bison and put a black outline around the whole thing and put another black outline around all this. There's lots of stuff you can do to make it more accentuated. Like, just for example, I'll do one more thing here since, you know, you're probably like, oh, good, we're done. And then I'm like, no, we're going to do one more thing. But, you know, just if you wanted a black outline on this, now I have to go inside this group. So I'd have to find the bison outline. And let's say I wanted to put a black border on them. And I'll make it a little bit bigger. And I'll make sure I put it to the outside. Always put the border to the outside. And that's good, except it's probably too much. So I'll make it like, let's see how 4 looks. 4 looks okay. That looks pretty cool, actually. And then I can go here and put another border on. I'll add one more border. And it's going to be black. And I'll just make it bigger. And it's actually going to be behind everything. So it'll be the last one, but it'll be the thickest. And to move it, you got to be careful when you move it because it almost makes a trash. Don't go out here. Stay just going down. That's, you see that trash can? That'll delete it. Just go straight down and put it behind. Make sure there's no trash can before you leave go. And there it is. Now it's on the bottom, and I'll just make it a little thicker. And remember, it only has to be as thicker than that one. So now I have that little black border there. And now what you can do is you can copy this. You can do Command C or Control C. And then I can go on this one, and I can do Edit, Paste, Paste Style, and it'll paste that style. Now that's kind of a cool look. I'd have to bring my group back down again. I'll click on my group here, and I'll just move them down. And I'll move bison down. And, you know, that might look better. Maybe it doesn't. Nudge it up here, close to it, so it looks like it's standing on the word bison. I don't know if that black outline helps, but it's something a little different. Actually, I like the outline on the buffalo more than I do the text. But there's my Pennsylvania bison. That you could put this on the sweatshirts or hats or anything like that. But I used my favorite animal. I traced it. I did some accents in there. And then I used these effects with these multiple outlines. Now, the only thing in Gravit, it's a little hard because we don't have warp tools and really cool typographic tools to work with text. That's a kind of a weakness of working with Gravit, is working with the text. I have to admit that. We're using web fonts. We're doing the best we can. But still, that's not a bad looking logo as far as that goes. And you know, try to do your best to come up with an animal that you like and some kind of name. Make up any name. These aren't real teams. We're just making up teams here. So I live in Pennsylvania, so I just call it Pennsylvania bison. There's a game preserve, a Lehigh Valley Zoo near me that has bison, and I like to check out the bison. So there it is. So there must be some here because they're there. So anyway, that's exercise 13. When you're done, make sure you save. And eventually we'll make a PDF of it. But just for now, before we worry about any of that, what we'll do is we'll just share this and make sure that everything's synced before you share it. And now I'm going to share it. And I'll copy my link. And I'll go to my Warren. Make sure I log back in. And I'll go to coursework. And under Unit 11, I'll go to Team Animal Logo. And I'll add a comment. And same routine. Just paste your link. New window, hit OK, hit save, and that's good. And again, if you ever wanted to do a PDF of it, all you'd have to do, just to review, if you ever wanted to put a PDF, is just go here to File, go Export, PDF. Now, I'm not sure if we'd have any problem with the fonts, but I'll go PDF, 150, and it'll just download a PDF, and it's in my downloads right now. And then if you'd want to go back to my Warren and upload that, what I usually do is I add a separate comment, and you have to use source file. You can't do an image, you have to do source file. And then just go find it. You have to do upload and go to wherever your downloads are. Here's my downloads, and it's called 13. I don't know if it's down at the bottom. There it is. No date. For some reason, it shows no date. There's my PDF, and I'll hit open, and I'll have to hit insert, and there it is. Now, the only thing I ask you to do is right after you do this, just click right in there on the link. Click right in on the link, and just go on the link and just make sure that you change this to be new window, so that opens up in a new window and it doesn't take you out of my warrant. Now, everybody forgets to do that, but just make sure you do that. Just go into the link again after you put it there. So it was source file, and then you put it in there and you went and found it, and then click in the link and just make sure it says new window. And then you could save. So I have 2 comments here. One is the PDF. There's my PDF. So then when I click on it, let's see what it looks like. See if it screwed up the text. Not too bad. Doesn't look too bad. So now I can see it right away without even having to go into Gravit. And then I also have my Gravit file there. So that's EX13.